Hey, y'all, and welcome to CRE with CBC Worldwide Podcast. I'm Ashley Wilson, Senior Manager of Growth and Culture, and I have teamed up with the incredible Jenna Hilly to bring y'all a fun mashup of Market Tales and the women of CBC. Right? In this really cool crossover episode, you're going to hear from Kelsey Ward, who we had the opportunity of chatting with at the Global Conference back in March.
Unplanned as well. We were really excited to kind of see the connection and be able to bring this together for the first time. So this is going to be really great. I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just something that happened organically. So when I was talking with Kelsey, we covered everything. I mean, we got a little sidetracked. We talked about the Yellowstone TV series. We talked about adaptive reuse in the Missoula market. We talked about her career as an architect. And you'll notice when you take a listen that through all of those conversations, Kelsey has the perfect radio voice.
So good.
And it comes from her background. So take a listen. Thank you so much for being on our podcast today, Market Tales, talking all about Missoula, Montana. Right now, we were chatting, I guess a couple weeks ago, and you made a comment to me about radio being in your blood. Yep. So tell me about that.
Well, my dad is the captain of the Montana Outdoor Radio Show, and he's been that most of my life, actually. Before that, he owned the radio stations and towers and stuff, KGVO, KISS FM, KLCY, and I used to think that's what I was named after, Kelsey KLCY. I don't know. Yeah, and he, so as far as I can remember, he's been the captain, and that's a statewide hunting and fishing show. Okay. And so he's just been fishing and hunting and talking about it.
Sounds like the perfect job.
He says he's a local celebrity, and he really is, because we walk around, go to, when we go to restaurants, and he just knows everyone, and he's talking to everyone. Yeah. And then also he was the kind of spokesperson for Bob Ward & Sons, a sporting goods store. Okay. So growing up, everyone thought my dad, he was Bob Ward's. And just so happens I had worked there at one point, my ex-stepmom and my dad and my brother, and it's just a totally different Ward family. So yeah, it's been a funny kind of grow up with that. And I grew up, I guess the first thing I remember, because I don't really listen to the show. It's like at 7 a.m. on Saturdays.
Yeah, no thank
where
you.
the hunters and they're going out and fishers. And so I just remember when I was little, he'd be sitting in the office kind of listening to it back and laughing at all the jokes he made. And that's just a vivid memory that I have. So yeah. Yeah, and he's still going strong. I actually do his invoicing, and I got notarized so I can notarize his co-ops every month. Yeah. So I guess I am technically employee, but yeah.
Well, you said the station, and when you announced that, you're like radio voice. It's like that it's been rolling off your tongue for decades, right? Yeah. And I think you should really hone in on that that background of how you got named. Like, embrace that. I think that, he might deny it, but I think there's more of a story there.
Yeah, no, it's fun to turn on the radio voice for sure. It's like just pausing at the right moments.
Well done.
During the show.
Yeah. Okay, so I need to do that also, but that was not the right time. I need to work on that.
Yeah.
It's definitely a skill that you've listened to growing up. I always say that people have one skill that they learned innately, not knowing that they were learning that through their childhood, and I think that might be yours, is the perfect pause in a sentence for the radio voice.
Yeah. Well, and because he does the ads, for the radio show, and even they do podcasts now, but the Bob Ward & Sons, everyone heard, like, my dad going, in Bob Ward's, in Paxson and Missoula, and in Hamilton. Like, that's just, yeah, so.
All right, so we know that you are in Missoula, Montana, and it's a hunting and fishing area. Tell me a little bit more about the market in that commercial real estate space.
Well, currently I would say retail and office they're pretty vacant, I want to say. So like adaptive reuse is kind of coming up, and more so being strategic with how we market it, whether it's targeting certain voids that Missoula doesn't have. What's fun is I go to cities and I see things that are done, whether it's like a putt-putt bar or like, just in general, the like medical aesthetics are coming in hot, and just they're kind of taking over these spaces. Or recently at the mall, an infrared sauna exercise place that's 24 hours is going right next to a Texas Roadhouse in the mall. And that's about to open, and it's just super interesting what can be done with these spaces for adaptive reuse. But currently now I think it's people needing to rethink those, because there's tons of vacancies and tons of spaces that are in like the prime corridors just empty, sitting there. And other things we're seeing that I've personally been working within transactions on is we have like things that are listed for sale, but I'm getting a lot of people asking if they'd be willing to lease. Okay. And so we're kind of pivoting or asking them to add that as a strategy, because any investor right now is buying what is currently producing immediate income, not the future upside of it. And so they're just taking a lot less risks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel that the Missoula market is unique to what's going on in the rest of the United States, or especially those like larger metros too?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I feel like we're just behind, I guess, in a lot of sense. And just the new innovative things, and also anyone in Montana is just instantly against any change whatsoever. If you're on any Facebook of any news of any development, it's just everyone's going to town in the comments and just not wanting people to come to Montana and hating the Yellowstone TV show because of it, which actually my mom was a big part in finding all their lease spaces for when they shot that. So and I love the TV show, so I'm all about it. And it's just cool seeing even how Hollywood changes how things look on TV when you know what it looks like in real life.
Right.
So, that's a bit of a pivot, but.
Yeah, but I love it. I love the pivot, because anytime someone has a conversation with me, I'm so ADD that you never know where it's gonna go.
No.
Because now I really want to start talking about Yellowstone, but I'm trying to pull that back.
Yeah, no,
because we can talk about it for a very long time.
When I just recently got my boyfriend hooked on it, so we're binging it currently, and we're on season 2, and I'm like, you just don't even know what's coming when certain characters come on board. And then I find out also my mom's boyfriend right now, in the first episode when there's like 6 ATVs on a trailer and they go to the shootout, those were his ATVs. Yeah, and so I just keep finding out more and more just ties. And so you're in Montana, you either hate Yellowstone because you hate anything changing and people coming in and moving, but or you love it because it's just cool and fun.
Right.
But since I was in architecture before, I have always been profiting off of people coming to Montana.
Right.
And I like when people come with money so I can do cool designs or do big deals. So.
And a weird twist, the show Yellowstone was actually a very true depiction of what you're describing, because in the show, half the people are so against the change, the other half are excited for something new and exciting. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So they actually nailed it.
Yeah, in a Western kind of flair.
In a Western kind of flair. Have you guys started watching the prequels?
Oh, I've seen them all, and Landman is my favorite.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about Landman at the bar later. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that one.
Billy
the best.
Bob Thornton.
I love 1923 though. It's super because the fact that it was in Butte, and I'm like, is that what Butte was like in 1923? That's actually crazy to think about, and just that's why I think it's cool is being places that are being portrayed on TV, but also it's like a history lesson whenever it's a Taylor Sheridan thing or a lesson in some sort of way.
Right.
Because he's factual.
He is. Yeah. All right, so you mentioned architecture.
Yeah.
Tell me about your architecture career that led you into commercial real estate.
Okay. Well, I always knew I was going to be an architect. Since 7th grade, I've always been good at math and art. And I will say my stepmom at the time put the word architecture in my head. But I did, looking back, I was like, man, I got my mom to buy me a an architecture program to rearrange my room because I did it almost weekly, definitely monthly, because I'm like, God, this isn't, it's not right. It's not just right. It could be better. And so I got sick of moving my furniture around so much that I was like, I want a program so I can figure out the best way and not have to do anything physically to figure it out. And that was in like 6th grade. And so I've always known. Then I went to, you only can go to MSU, Montana State in Bozeman for architecture. So I went there, and then while I was going through school, I worked at the Yellowstone Club, and that led to my first job at Center Sky Architecture. One of the guys introduced me to the principal there, and that just led to my first job in designing Yellowstone Club houses. So that was super fun and cool just to get that experience, because they're basically no budgets, and like every single thing is designed. So just getting that kind of experience was fun. And then I went back to Missoula and started doing more commercial design stuff, and I realized that it is more, you get really burnt out on doing mountain modern architecture. And I don't know, I started to realize, I really like working with businesses over people, because they make emotional decisions. And I'd be like, why isn't there a bench in your, I think about the resale. I just was always thinking about the value in the resale in the long term of everything. Now that I'm kind of reflecting and looking back, and kind of would just get frustrated why they, would making their properties less valuable based off personal decisions. So, and then I also just my style. And just my style. I like big, bold, crazy commercial moves with cool bar designs and stuff. And so, and you get some of those in Missoula or Montana, but if I really wanted to do the architecture I'd want to do, I'd have to move out of Montana into a city, and I have 2 wiener dogs and a garden, and I
can't leave the garden.
And I was like, if I had this set up somewhere else, I'd be driving however long to work. Who's letting my dogs? I just would think about every possible inconvenience that would come of it. And I think the longer you stay in Montana, the less likely you are to leave at some point. And everyone moves back. But anyway, so then my mom's always been in real estate. She's been in it for 30 years now. And I never thought I would ever even be in real estate, because I don't know, I was designing stuff. But I got burnt out on that, and because we're the artists of the building community, we're not really getting paid what people think we're getting paid until you're the principal. And it's frustrating in that sense, but also because you're pretty much just you're just working at a computer nonstop. It's kind of isolating in that way. I worked at small firms. So anyway, when I was like, I don't know what I want to do, because I've only wanted to do this, in 7th grade, my mom kind of, gave me the option to start working for her while I figured it out. And while I was working for her, she had me do rebranding, because she left Pure West Real Estate and started her own. And was doing the rebranding, website, all the fun, creative stuff, and she was really trying to push me to get passionate about real estate, which I'm like, how do I get passionate about real estate when I've been designing stuff? How does that correlate? And now that I'm in the, I committed after a couple of years, because just the work-life balance is super nice, being in control of it. So I'm like, I got to make this work, because I don't want to go back to an office job at all. And so now that I've been in the transaction side of things, I'm finding overlaps with architecture and stuff. That is just the mindset going in of just data-driven, strategic kind of things, but then also, the data I think gives me, I took a CCIM course, the 102 course, and that I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize all this cool data and mapping and all of that stuff, because before I'm like, where's this information coming from? I want to know exactly where it's coming from. I don't want to just be going off of, because Katie Ward said so.
Right. You need the data
I'm
to
more
back it up.
I want the why, not the end result. And so I feel like that's a constant thing that keeps me confident in my pivot, as well as just knowing what I'm talking about.
Right. Well, that kind of feeds into your design background, because it's your job as an architect of why it's this way, not just it looks pretty.
Yeah, the
right?
function.
You have to have that functionality behind the art.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I mean, that the transition
and now it
from
needs
one to
to
the other.
function financially for somebody,
Right.
which is how I was thinking anyway when I was designing. So that's, just the business mindset of resale.
Yeah, I mean, because you already had that business mindset going into
Yeah.
it. So you went from designing buildings to now like selling and leasing and building a community. So I think whether you realize it in the moment or not, like it actually was a great move.
Yeah.
But again, your pivot, you got to get used to it. So
Yeah.
you mentioned that your mom taught you everything, right? And so your dad's rooted in radio, your mom's rooted in commercial real estate, you started in architecture, and now you are with Coldwell Banker Commercial under the brand. So can you tell me a little bit about your transition from you and your mom joining the brand?
It was pretty much me pushing for it when I caught wind of it, because she's set in her way, she's built her success, on her own.
Yeah.
But I'm coming in and I'm like, if I want the resources, the tools, and just the data in general. And I've always, worked at small firms, and I just was like, I can't, this is my first business trip ever.
Oh.
So I'm like, I've always wanted to wear a vest and just swag and hats and stuff, but
We got it all for you.
yeah, so I was super excited about that aspect, and just not just having my mom, because I see her perspective, but I don't have the same perspective necessarily. And I like just the tools in general that help efficiency. And because it's making my life easier, but also we are getting jobs because we're Coldwell Banker Commercial now too.
Nice.
Yeah.
You had a recent deal, right?
Yep.
That y'all got because you're under the brand.
Yep.
Did they share any insight as to why? Was it just the name, or is it something more?
I think, so that listing is in rural, like Thompson Falls.
Okay.
And so for that, he knew he'd been listed previously and kind of got some action, but he knows that it takes a bigger, someone who has more push out or reach, I guess. And he recognized the name Coldwell Banker Commercial when he was searching for commercial real estate agents, and he definitely picked it because he's like, these guys will at least put it in front of the right audience, or the expansion of the audience, because it's such a, rural place.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Only
it was just the name, and that, he felt confident because
Good.
he knows of it, and also just knows we're nationally connected, or just the syndicates that we're getting pushed out to.
Right, because your buyer doesn't always come from around the corner.
No, and that's
right?
where, this one's a tricky one in general, just because, it's Thompson Falls, and it's a lot of tourists, driven everything in Montana, especially in this area, Thompson Falls, that it's like population like 1,000 kind of thing.
Goodness. Yeah.
So, don't quote me on that.
No.
But yeah, we're gonna have to actually talk to him this week and come up with maybe a little more direct marketing. But it's like, you're sending out email blasts to local people, but you're like, a local why would they move here locally? I think we need to bring someone, like, I guess I think of it as, if this was a bigger city at a different scale, like, where isn't Topgolf? And kind of that mindset, find the void, or just get someone to, take the risk on a really seasonal place to be.
Right. Yeah, but there's areas that do it. Look at all the other seasonal places. You have all the ski resorts in Colorado, and of course there's some obviously in like Montana and Wyoming and whatnot, but they find something. So there's something out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you are seeing some growth in your area. What do you think is going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months for your market?
Well, light industrial is what's really coming. So like service-oriented stuff, which is, I think, responding to, since, everyone decided to move to Montana during COVID. So when I was doing architecture then, and I was jealous of everyone that's like, oh, I have to stay at home, in quarantine. I'm like, cool, I'm too busy and I have to go to work. But they're responding to the building industry in general, and filling in the vacant retail, office, restaurant spots. And so I think more of those, or just adaptive reuse with wellness medical spas coming in. Okay. So I would say adaptive reuse, maybe, hopefully.
Okay.
And yeah, other than that, I mean, it's definitely just keeping up with that demand of people coming in and even just having enough housing for everyone.
Yeah. And you think the people coming in are still those wanting to just move to Montana because it's beautiful? Or is there something else driving that? Like tourists that just want to stay?
Probably Yellowstone. No.
Yeah.
I think everyone comes to Montana for the lifestyle.
Okay.
And if it's something business oriented and it's probably a remote job,
Right,
I want to say.
yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, I think you come to Montana for the lifestyle and then you figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smart though. You want to live where you vacation and then figure out how to make it work from there.
Yeah.
Because John Drew, who is also part of the Coldwell commercial that you're with, he just moved up there from Atlanta, Georgia. And I was like, I'm going to live in Missoula now. And he's finding a way to make it work. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience about maybe advice on how to pivot from another career?
I think being vulnerable and transparent with not knowing what you don't know, because a lot of people are definitely understanding of that, and it just makes you feel more comfortable and confident being truthful, I guess. And then you just get a lot more input and advice. And Tyler Warren, who is also with our office, he always goes, "This is a teaching moment,"
I can see Tyler saying that.
And I think of that a lot, or I help remind even my own mom, who might not be the best teacher, but a very big veteran in the thing. I'm just like, this is a teaching moment. If you could explain how you got to this end result, that would be great. Or just give me the resources. So I think asking questions and not being afraid to not know.
That's solid advice. And you can use that in any aspect of your life, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for being on the podcast with us today. And I did not know that this is your first business trip.
Yep.
So I know you've only been here for, 24 hours?
Not even
Not
24.
even? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any first impressions?
Well, it's a really nice hotel.
Okay.
Everyone's really friendly, I guess. I only went to the one event so far, other than this.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I'm loving the swag, loving the vests.
Nice.
So I'm checking off what my goal was with swag and getting out of my comfort zone, being on this podcast in general. And I don't know, I like a reason. I'm from Montana. Business casual is a little more casual than usual, so it's nice breaking out the mom's boots and wearing a blazer.
Right, isn't that fancy? Is that going to be your new look? That
I've
you're
always
coin
loved the equestrian, but now, I'm just thriving in the Montana, Yellowstone TV show has influenced a lot.
Yes. Don't take anyone to the train station.
No.
No, you don't want to be taken to the train station. Well, thank you again. I've had so much fun talking to you. And I just want to remind everyone that's listening, if you are enjoying Market Tales podcast, please share it with everyone. Please like it. With the more listeners, the better. And also, don't forget to invest in more than just the buildings, but also grow the communities and where you live and work.
All right, well, I think it's safe to say that the overarching theme of our chat was the pivot. So in that spirit, let's switch gears and kick it over to Jenna for the Women of CBC lightning round.
I'm Jenna with the Women of Coldwell Commercial Podcast. Welcome. I'd love to run through some of our lightning round questions with you.
Okay.
Kelsey, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Our CBC quarterly values are win together, do right, ownership mentality, and big-hearted. Which one is resonating with you right now and why?
I think ownership mentality, I think that probably goes back to my architecture background and having to get into clients' minds to see what they want, but also kind of direct them where they don't know that they need to go. And also just helps with marketing of getting in the perspective of buyers too. I think positioning it and making it attractive to whoever you're getting into the mind of, I suppose. Yeah.
Amazing answer. Most underrated leadership trait?
I think curiosity. probably, for a leader that's willing to adapt and keep learning, to keep teaching new things and not getting stuck in old ways that we're maybe seeing even a transition happen right now with technology. And also just transparency and struggles, I think, helps anyone learn on each spectrum of what you can do, but also what you shouldn't do.
I agree. That's a great answer. One thing you hope to see more of in commercial real estate over the next 5 years?
In Montana especially, I think adaptive reuse, there's a lot of vacant spaces, a lot of growth coming, and there's a lot of things I see that Montana doesn't have when I come to cities. I'm a big recreational person in an urban environment, whether it's putt-putt bars or Topgolf, things like that. And just that continue to fill the void of spaces that don't really fit anymore with, I don't know, like for instance, retail spaces and offices are pretty vacant. So there's other things you can do with those spaces that are relevant to the market, I suppose.
One tool or tech you can't live without?
I would say anything that helps me visually communicate. The marketing strategy I'm about to use, the void of what's needed, and to be able to have a quick glance at the offering in a sense. So build out's huge, any sort of mapping software, and anything that can give me data, honestly.
Data is important. What's giving you hope or energy in the industry right now?
I think creative financing to help deals actually come forth or help tenants into ownership. Everyone's a little trigger shy right now, and I think it's helping that transition of changing hands or even just making deals happen by not just being creative with how you're going to structure the deal and both parties winning at the same time. Yeah.
Winning together.
Winning together.
To quote another CBC value.
There you go.
Perfect. That was our lightning round questions with the Women of CBC podcast. Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for more voices, more stories, and more leaders shaping the future of commercial real estate.
Welcome back. Amazing responses from our favorite person, Kelsey Ward. Ashley, that was just a great example. I know she said ownership mentality, but like winning together, the way she's bringing things together, the way you and I are coming together to do these podcasts and this special edition.
We're winning together because we're better together than we are apart. You got to lean on each other, just like our network does. They realize that our best resource is each other. So tap into that as much as you can.
And I love that's what she mentioned on her podcast with you and the Market Tales is why she was such an advocate for coming to the Coldwell commercial brand with her mom is knowing that she didn't have all the resources and data available to her and arming herself with all the equipment and knowledge that she needed to continue to be successful and to grow beyond that, which I thought was really spectacular.
Yeah, like anything that can help her visually communicate, like she mentioned in one of her answers. And she was hinting towards build out. So that's one of our resources, and towards our amazing research team, Jane and Charlie.
And the creative financing response that she had as well, again, going back to winning together, she really wants to make sure that all parties are satisfied. She wants there to be more ownership and less leasing so that people feel confident in what they're doing. And that really shone through in both of the podcasts, just again, how excited she is about the work, but how much she really cares about the impact it's making in her community.
One of her answers was a reminder to myself to always be curious, right? That was the underrated leadership trait. I was like, oh, you know what? That's a good point. Always be curious about what else is out there, about what maybe we're not doing, because we're always focusing on what we do have, but what don't we have that maybe we should? And she was curious about doing this podcast. I mean, this was her first conference.
I know.
She'd never done a podcast before. Shocking.
Voice, I know.
Right? She did 2 podcasts.
She dove head first and really was so successful. And that's, again, just speaks more to the network and the type of people that we engage with. They're just, you're gung-ho, ready to dive in and get started. Whether they're ready or not, they're going to find the answers. And I think that curiosity ties back to her, again, knowing what you don't know and being curious and leading with that really gets you up farther. And in where you are. So yeah, really great conversations. I'm so happy we were able to do this. Kelsey, thank you so much for your participation and for being, again, a great representation of network and women in commercial real estate.
Yeah, she's definitely going to be one of the leaders of the next generation. So I'm looking forward to what you're doing, Kelsey. Looking forward to seeing you at the next conference and rocking all that swag.
Appreciate everyone. And make sure you subscribe and share this podcast. Join our newsletter to stay up to date with news. And thank you again for listening.